Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
One, two.
There's a reason his initials are BS. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Thank you for joining me for another edition of the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Tonight I am joined by Brendan Ryan. You can find him on Twitter at Sir Brendan Ryan. He's a comedian, very funny. Brendan, how are you doing tonight?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I'm great. Just enjoying a nice bottle of Black Velvet crappy whiskey and trying to not make fart sounds on this leather couch that I'm sitting on while I'm trying to do this interview. How about you?
You know what? I'm sitting down. I'm enjoying a Modelo Especial.
Is that like a class, something that makes you feel classy, even though it's kind of like trash?
It makes me feel classy. I went down to Mexico. Was there about a year ago, expecting to drink nothing but Coronas. They give you Modelo. Delicious.
Do you, when you see, a Mexican person or, drinking a Corona or an Irish person drinking a Guinness, do you ever just be like, man, you're just feeding into the stereotype, buddy?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Do you ever feel like when people are doing certain things like, Mexican drinking a Corona or, when people drink things that feed into a stereotype, do you kind of feel bad for those people?
I do feel bad for those people. I mean, I sort of do that myself. I usually drink Guinness, so I'm that guy. I'm the Irish guy drinking Guinness, taking shots of Jameson. But it is what it is.
With one thing I've done lately is with Netflix, I've started going back and watching old TV shows of my youth. I'm 24. I've been delving a little bit into Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And, there's things that you start, that you don't notice when you're 4 and 5, that you start to notice, like, man, this show is horrible. And not to mention with the Power Rangers series, it's probably, it's close to $1 billion empire, and they have not picked up the pace as far as quality of product. Why do you think, is there a show that you watched when you were younger that you've watched on Netflix that you started to think, man, this is horrible. I can't believe I liked this when I was younger?
Oh my God. I feel like that's the case with so many shows that we watched as kids. You just sort of, you didn't realize, you didn't get the jokes, and now you get the jokes now, and they're just so horrible. I found, I watch shows now, and I think I would laugh at the jokes, and I had no idea what they were saying, and now I'm embarrassed for myself that I was laughing at those horrible jokes.
Well, or you watch it like, my goddaughter, sometimes I'll watch a show with her, and she'll be laughing at some of this stuff, and I'll be like, this is not, like, I mean, she's 3, but I'll be...
What are you laughing at? What's so funny?
Yeah, it'll be like, I don't know, Mickey Mouse gets hit in the head with a hammer, and she laughs her ass off. It's like, what the hell is so funny here? Like, obviously...
Funny, but what do you...
The things that we love as adults, like violence and bad language,
right?
It's kind of the same things kids like, but on a lesser level.
I'm embarrassed to say I used to laugh at things that I had no idea why I was laughing. It's almost, that laugh track, people say it's kind of, why would you have a laugh track? People laugh because it tells you when to laugh. You don't know what you're laughing at. You have no idea what you're laughing. It's because other people are laughing. You have to laugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I look back at that. I'm like, what the hell is that? This is a horrible joke. Nobody's laughing. I mean, people are laughing, but why did I find this funny?
Well, do you think it's kind of like when you, I don't know, when you're in grade school or high school or something, and there's some hot, the best looking chick. Like I was in Catholic school all the way from grade school all the way through high school, and the pick of the bunch was not very good, not as good as it would have been at a public school. Because even if you're terrible at a
I don't know. I went to public school, and there wasn't too much great things happening over there either.
Well, but I would say this, like the worst, like I would say the worst, like maybe not the worst, but the mid-level, like the mid-level exceptions in high school and public school are better than the best at a Catholic school, from my experience.
You know what? I have a buddy that went to Catholic school, and he was just telling me he started doing the online dating thing recently, and he had a girl that met him or found him online, and he had no idea who this girl was. And apparently she went to high school. They went to a Catholic high school, and he started talking to this girl, and had no idea who she was. And to me, that, like, where I went to school, I feel like I know who I went to high school with. He had no idea who she was.
Right.
Is that a common thing in Catholic school? I mean, did you not keep in touch with people from high school?
See, I knew, since I went to a small grade school and I went to a small high school, I knew everybody.
Okay.
I mean, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, so I mean, it's not like, right. I mean, like the biggest high school is probably like 1,700, 2,000 people. So, which is nothing compared to like, what those kids were going, the kind of high school they go to in like Breakfast Club or something like that. But,
right.
But I'm thinking as far as yes, I used to do this game on my show. It was called the Plenty of Fish game, where I would read off, like, I would read the person's profile, and then you would have to guess what her body type was, how old she was, what race she was. So, I mean, right. It got pretty out of control at certain points. But once I saw people from my own high school on there, it was like, okay, all right. Like, I didn't want to look like I was doing the online dating. I'm not looking down on the people on online dating, but I was not participating on it. I was just using people's profiles. Once I started seeing people from high school, it was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to back off of this because I don't want to hook up with that girl and I don't want to see her ever again.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's, I don't know. The online dating thing for me, I tried it for a little bit, and it's a little strange. Well, the whole thing is a little weird to me.
It's weird. I have a relative I know that is delving into the online dating. He has not had any successful dates, and I have another buddy that does online dating. And I mean, it worked out for him. He's found his kind of happily ever after. But the relative that's doing it right now is like, he's gone like, there's chicks that asked to go bowling and stuff like that, and then like another one was saying like, oh, I'll pay for everything, don't worry. So he wound up getting like 10 beers out of it. But
well, that's good.
I guess that's the one good thing at online dating. You get desperate women or a heavy set chick, and you're like, hey, I'm going to get everything paid for because she's just so happy that somebody's willing to go out with her.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find a woman, like, I don't know how good looking a woman like that would be, that's willing to buy you 10 beers and.
Well, that's the thing. She's not good looking.
No, you got to be. If you're going on there and a girl is putting herself out there, she's that desperate. There's no way she's a good looking girl, right? There's no way.
No, there's no way she's a good-looking girl. She, and this is my thing. When I was looking on there, as far as doing the profiles. I mean, which obviously I was picking the worst possible people on there. But when I was going on there, and the hot chicks that were on there, they were clearly, from some prostitution ring. That's the bad thing about the website.
I mean, that's all. I tried the Tinder thing. You know about this one?
Yes, I do.
I mean, this is another ridiculous website where I tried this. Go on there for 2 days. I find women. I'm liking them. I say, oh, maybe we're compatible. The first girl that I match up with, she's like some robot or something like that. Call me, find me on my website. That's all I got. That's my luck on the Tinder website.
And that with me, I've never, I'm not, smooth. I'm not smooth, but I occasionally get, it's basically I fall ass backwards into something.
Yeah.
I see, you watch all these movies. I mean, that's pretty much what it is with, a lot of people. But either you get a lot, you get nothing, or you're right in the middle. I'm kind of that middle guy. I got to get the scraps. With me, whenever I go to a wedding or whenever I go to a, anything where I've seen a movie where people are smooth, I watch like Wedding Crashers. I'll be like,
yes.
Okay, Vince Vaughn, I could do that. I mean, but then I never am able to pull that off. I'm never able to pull off.
But then the time comes and it just doesn't work out, right?
Right, exactly. You clam up and it just all goes downhill. And the hottest chick is either taken or there's no hot chicks at the wedding. Like
right, either that or you realize maybe I'm just not as good. Maybe I'm not Vince Vaughn. Maybe that's it.
Which is a devastating realization.
That's a tough realization when you realize I'm not Vince Vaughn. I can't make it happen at this wedding. I'm just gonna sit here and eat my prime rib and that's it.
Well, the thing with weddings, I don't know. What's the worst experience you've had at a wedding? Because my worst is, being told to leave. I've been told to leave a couple times.
You were told to leave at a wedding?
Yeah, I've been told to leave wedding reception for being too drunk.
Okay. I was at a wedding this past weekend, and I was lucky enough to be part of the. I don't know if I want to say lucky enough, and it's an honor to be part of the wedding party, a groomsman, but it's a lot of work, right? You're there all day. You have to take care of the groom, whatever he wants. And I have a little issue. I don't know. It started about 2 years ago. I have panic attacks. I don't know what it is. It popped out of nowhere. I could be anywhere. I could be driving my car, stop at a red light, and for whatever reason I feel like I need to get out of here. I need to leave. So I'm at the wedding. I'm at the wedding 2 nights ago. At the church, I have a panic attack, full-blown panic attack. Now I'm up in front of a bunch of people, and I don't know if I should jet out of the church. For whatever reason now, I'm having panic attacks in churches. Have you ever heard of this, Bob?
I've not heard of a panic attack in church. I mean,
it's insane.
If I was an altar boy, I might have a panic attack in church, but that would be it.
Maybe that's what I was never an altar boy. I was part of the choir once, but I, for whatever I'd say last 3 or 4 times I've been in a church, I have a panic attack. I think I don't know if it's because of the acoustics in the church, the high ceilings.
Well,
it freaks me out.
Well, nothing freaks me out about a church, but the last few times I've been in a church has either been for a funeral or for Easter, which is pretty much the same thing, or Christmas. And, so there's always incense or something burning in there that, kind of like makes me sick. And plus it's crowded because if it's a funeral, there's a lot of people there. Or if it's
a panic attack.
Yeah, I get really, I'm sure you're the same way. I just hate being around a lot of people. I hate being around people in general, but,
I'm not interested in being around people.
It just gets me, it gets me sweaty. I haven't had a panic attack, but I've, been wildly uncomfortable in church.
It's the worst. It is the worst. It is the worst. I'm not saying church is the worst per se, but for me, I can't deal with it. Once they play that, once that guy goes on the organ, the ground starts. I feel the ground shake, and for whatever reason, I feel like I need to get out of there. Yeah. And it's embarrassing because now I'm up at the near the altar, and I feel like everybody's looking at me. If anybody out there has ever had a panic attack, it is the worst feeling ever. You feel like you just want to run out of there. And the problem with me is now if I'm in a church, I'm at a wedding, they're about to say, no, this is husband and wife, and I want to run out of there, and I can't do that. I'm stuck there. I think that's what messes me up.
This is what happened. This is what happens with you. I hate to play Dr. Drew here, but you probably start to panic, and then you panic that you're panicking, and then you continue to panic over you just sticking in there instead of running out. I mean,
that's exactly what's happening. Yeah.
Well, and you're self-conscious about running out because if you run out, then you look like a further idiot than if you just stand up there.
Exactly. It's the mind is it plays tricks on you. It's very powerful, and you're right. It's one thing you start thinking of. Oh, geez, here I go. I'm starting to panic. And then it just goes on from there. It's a disaster for me.
Do you think? I mean, I think I don't know how old you are, but as a 24-year-old guy,
I'm 30. I'm 30 years old.
Okay, so when we were like in high school, there was pretty much no worry. Like I had no worries in high school. I had no worries.
Nothing.
I've had no worries for a lot of my life, and then I've developed social anxiety over the last couple of years. And I kind of feel like the same things I go through where I don't want to go into some place, I don't want to go see people. I feel like it's kind of the same issues that like a high school girl goes through where, a high school girl that's been called fat by her friends. That's what I feel like sometimes.
You're right. It's so true. I haven't, in high school I was pretty good. Maybe it was because I was, I don't know, too dumb to realize what was going on. But the older I get, more things freak me out. I don't know what it is. I leave my house, there's a million things going on in my head of what can go wrong. I don't ever have a good thought in my head.
Well, yeah, and it's like, there was never any fear of, like in high school, you never had to really worry. I mean, you had to worry about a chick that's been around a lot, but you didn't really have to worry about, the STDs that come along with it. You have to worry about that nowadays as you get older.
Yeah. You. It's sort of that thing of, when you see a young kid just on the playground and they're running and jumping and, with not a care in the world. When you get older, you realize if I slide here, I can probably break my kneecap. When you're a young kid, you don't realize that stuff,
Yeah, it's like, if I go down this, you take more, like when you're on the playground as a kid, you sit at the top of the slide and you're like, this is going to be fun. Now,
it's going to be fun.
You get on a water slide as an adult and you're like, okay, there's a chance that I could, slip up here. I could break my neck. What are the health insurance costs here? What's going to happen here?
Exactly. What if they didn't? I had a friend, a friend of mine I went to college with. His father went to a water, one of these water parks. He gets on the slide. He gets up there. He was with a whole group of people. He was a chaperone for a bunch of kids. So he goes on there first. It was beginning of the day, I guess. He gets out there. Some mishap happens where the guy comes out of the slide and there's about 2 inches of water in the pool. He broke like three. The guy broke his leg, his arm. That's stuff you don't think of when you're a kid.
No.
But now you hear stories. You're an adult now. You hear these horror stories, and it's all in your head. It doesn't leave.
But don't you find it funny when now that you're an adult? Like I coach high school baseball, and I'll be thinking to myself, everybody's like, back in my day, things weren't like this. Like I was tough back in my day, and occasionally I'll give those speeches from time to time. But in actuality, the stuff I'm putting some of my players through, I would never be able to make it through some of that stuff. I'd be like,
forget it.
Yeah, we never had to do that back when I was playing, But I'll say it anyway.
It just gets worse.
Yeah,
I feel bad for everybody that's younger than us, because it's just going to get worse.
Oh yeah. Well, life. I hate to break it to you, young people that are listening or not listening, or parents that are listening, but life is terrible, and get used to it because it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
But I feel like the sooner you realize that, the better off you are. It's these people that grow up thinking that things are always going to be good, and then it just hits them, and they realize, then they see that it's life isn't so great.
Yeah, I think we can both agree that life is god awful and it sucks.
It's not great, I mean, sure there's good points, but for the most part, it's a pretty miserable existence that we're living in, right?
Well, exactly. Well, we'll get back to this when we come back, but I mean, it's pretty much, we have a morbid look on the way life is, a dark look on the way life is, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. It's not great. Yeah,
it's not great.
No, it's terrible. All right, we will be right back here with Brendan Ryan, the comedian, not the baseball player, here on Late Night Sports Radio.
Lost or found love, lying by your side.
Take another second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. You never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. Think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. Cause in the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side. Coming and the nights will keep on going till they're tired, falling fast asleep and as they dream of ghosts of beats filled with desire. The trance of life is all around, a chance to take is always found. Oh, writing on the lullabies, I'm alone and live your life. Oh, do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side. Take another second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. You never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. Do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found love lying by your side.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I am joined here in hour number one again by Brendan Ryan. You can find him on Twitter at Sir Brendan Ryan. Brendan,
Yes.
we're kind of getting into this over the break, and I put out occasional tweets out there that I get some flack for. Like one of them, I put out, I wish they would send all the Ebolans back to Ebola during the Ebola problem. And, the other day I saw a tweet that said, "I wish we would send all the Native Americans back to India." Now, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was from a chick, so I'm not sure if it was. And there was nothing in her bio about being a comedian or anything, so I'm not sure if it was a joke or what it was. But does it surprise you the stupidity that you see on certain tweets from certain people these days?
I mean, I guess we're at the point where it shouldn't surprise us. It shouldn't. It should. But there was. I'm from New York, and there was a couple days ago. There was an explosion that happened in the East Village. All right. Building goes up, and people started tweeting and Instagramming these women. I generalize women. There was a girl that did it. I'm sure there was plenty of guys that were doing it as well. But they were taking selfies next to the explosion site.
Yes, I saw that on what's it? The New Yorker.
I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, I mean, I don't get that. And I guess, I don't know, it surprises me that people are that dumb, but maybe...
It's almost like the guy that, when you hear about some guy like masturbating in public, or some guy, like Herman, the Pee Wee Herman thing. It's
exactly.
Like, what are you thinking?
You know, the outcome is not going to be good here. This is going to end up bad for you. I don't get it. I guess that's I think the thing is, we live in an age where everybody, there's just, everybody has access to everything. So stupid people were hidden maybe years ago, before the invention of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff. So you didn't realize how many stupid people there were out there. I mean, you ran into them, I guess, every once in a while, but now it's just so prevalent that people are just dumb, and their dumb thoughts are out there for everybody to see. It's amazing. Well, it really is.
I mean, remember a couple years ago when that girl tweeted out, "Hey, I'm going to Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS." There was a story about. Did you read that story about her where how like her life has come crashing down on her? I didn't
read the follow up to that girl, but I can imagine. Because it's just, I know the one girl I saw today that posted this picture of herself in front of the building that went on fire. It's just, you have to wake up and be like, I just don't get where the thought process is, where you're like, there's two men missing in that building, and I'm going to take a picture and say, oh, here I was. Come on, have some sense.
Well, I mean, what do you think? Okay, so we had Ferguson, which was a big, racial divide on Twitter.
Right.
But could you imagine during the OJ verdict, or even during one of the Michael Jackson
oh my God,
trials, how Twitter would have been at one of those points?
You're so right.
That would have been, not only... I think that would have been 3 times Ferguson, in my opinion.
Oh my God.
At least OJ, for sure.
Unbelievable. I mean... It's a shame that Judge Lance Ito was never trending on Twitter, except when he died.
Yeah.
Because the Twitter world would have blown up. The Twitter world would have blown up nowadays.
Imagine Mark Furman on Twitter.
Oh my God, Kato Kalin. These guys would have cleaned up on Twitter. They would have been. What do you call it? When you get that check. When you get that little blue check,
verified. They would have been verified.
They would have been verified. Yeah, everybody in the case, the whole OJ case, the whole crew would have been verified. They missed out.
Yeah, they missed out on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, imagine Furman on. I mean, I I kind of like to get in contact with Mark Furman and put together a Twitter account for him, but
Oh my God.
yeah, I mean,
He'd be-
that whole thing where, have you ever used the N-word? I mean, can you imagine what he
Oh
would have gone
my
through
God.
on Twitter? I mean, he got enough flack in '94 for this. I mean, imagine 2015, what happened with him.
Oh, the guy would have been. It would have been old. That is such a good point that you said that you know, Twitter is so young. I mean, it's really hasn't witnessed a lot of major historical events. It missed out on a lot of stuff. And when you look back, like, a lot of these guys should be thankful that Twitter wasn't around, you know?
Well, Pee Wee Herman, for example. I mean, could you imagine all the Pee Wee Herman would have been, you know, yeah, he is. I mean, he's made comebacks on like Reno 911 and stuff like that. But
He's made a
could you
decent
imagine
comeback.
Pee Wee Herman today if he would have been caught doing what he was doing back in the day on
Forget it.
Twitter?
Guy would have been trending for 3 days, 3 weeks. Unbelievable.
Also, think about the JFK assassination. I mean, with everything that went down that day, with Oswald going to the movie theater, you know, 3 shots, was there 4 shots, was there 2 shots, you know, which shot hit the president? Could you imagine that on Twitter? Like, how much misinformation would have
alone. The pictures alone would have solved the whole thing.
Well, and
you know,
the JFK assassination, I think that would have been the great. That's the one thing where I'd be like, okay, I want to. That's the one thing I would have wanted to see. Have Twitter for, or been around. Have Twitter around for, to see the reaction.
That's one of those things. Yeah, that's one of those things where all right, a lot of times I think the people are too obsessed with documenting and taking pictures of everything that's around them, and they don't enjoy you know, just living. But that would have been that would have been something that you would have had pictures from every angle. If it,
well, you would have had somebody taking a selfie while JFK's brain's getting blown up behind you.
Oh, forget it, unbelievable. The pictures that would have came out of that, unbelievable. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's too bad we didn't have cameras. You know, cell phones with cameras on it at that point.
Yeah, too bad the iPhone wasn't invented when JFK was shot. Unbelievable. Very sad.
Yeah, devastating. That's the most devastating part of it.
It might be. It might be.
You know, the funny thing with, you know, with cell phones and selfies and all, you know, we've been talking about this, but, you know, it's like, okay, I'll see somebody that I went to high school with or something like that. I'll take a Snapchat of them. When I see them, I won't acknowledge that I've seen that person, but then I'll send it to somebody that I'm still friends with from high school or college or something and be like,
right.
Hey, I just saw this moron at the grocery store. What a loser.
Exactly.
And, you know, I've been, you know, I think this was 2 years ago. I saw she was a year older than me, but she had a messed up face, but had a great body. She's since delved into, obviously, the stripping business because she was at a bachelor party at a bar that I was at. And I saw her, you know, leaving the bar, and I, you know, chased her down. I was like, hey, how are you doing? Bob Sullivan, remember me from high school, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, we went into a huge conversation.
Did she remember you?
She was too messed up at that point to remember who I was. So,
oh my God.
But I've seen her waitressing at other bars, and she remembers me, or at least says she remembers me, so she gets a better tip. And you know, so strippers, you know, it's you know, it's really not a good thing when you know who they are.
It's a strange business, stripping. I was at a bachelor party a couple months ago. And the bachelor party, it took place in upstate New York. It was in the middle of the woods. So we go out there,
Sounds
about
like
18 guys.
This kind of sounds like Eddie and the Cruisers too, when Eddie takes his band to the middle of the woods to practice their craft.
Well, we were practicing our craft of being awkward in front of ladies. So we get there's 18 guys there, and the groom to be, his father's there, and he's a little nervous. We get there on a Friday night, and the next day, the groom's soon to be father-in-law is going to be there, right?
Oh my God.
So he's already awkward. The father-in-law's an ex-cop. He's a little intimidating. So we're all hanging out, and the best man goes, who sets up the whole party. He says, all right, guys, this is what we got going on tonight. I ordered 4 strippers to come here. We're gonna do it tonight because tomorrow the bride's father is gonna be here, and we can't do that in front of him. All right, so these 4 ladies come. We call them up. It's unbelievable, the service that you can get. We call them up. They came from New York City in a caravan. All right, 2.5 hours up in a caravan.
Was it
a Dodge Caravan?
Was it a Dodge Grand Caravan, or what was the?
It was a I don't even know. Dodge Caravan had a sliding door.
Well, and by the way, before we get into the rest of your story, what do you think the conversation is like between those women when they're on their way to a bachelor party? Do you think it's like?
Oh my God!
It's got to be an awkward conversation for the strippers, right?
It's got to be It's a 2.5 hour ride up there. All right, so coming from Manhattan, and what I came to realize is that they didn't know each other. I figured that they do this all the time together, but they basically what happens is this guy calls them up, and whoever's available for the night, they throw in a caravan and send upstate to 18 horny guys, which is insane.
Sounds like prostitution.
Can you imagine? It's insane. So we get these ladies up there. They come up here in their caravan, four girls, and they have a hype man because obviously they can't go out there alone because God knows what kind of guys they're going to visit, right?
Right.
So they got this guy. They have this guy show up. His name is Indiglo. That's his name. He comes in there. And right away, they take over a bathroom of the house. I don't know if you've ever been part of one of these bachelor parties where the strippers come to you, but they take over a bathroom in the house. They put on their outfits and they spray themselves down with perfume. And the guy, the hype man, I'm going to call him, the guy that gets everybody excited, Indiglo, he's telling us, all right, you got to tip the ladies, you got to do this. So we're like, all right, this is great. 4 ladies come out, scrumptious-looking ladies, I'll say. They're very pretty ladies. They all come out. One girl we notice is a little off, okay? She's not really into doing this whole thing. She seems a little prude, I guess. She didn't want to take her shirt off. No big deal. We don't care, okay? They're there for about an hour.
For a couple
What's
ones?
That?
Not even for a
What's
couple
that?
ones. Not even for a couple ones. She wouldn't take.
Not even for a $1 bill. She was just very awkward, you know. You can tell she didn't fit in. It's almost like they just found her and was like, oh, you want to be a model? Get in the caravan and you can be a model here. And she took the job. So she's there. About an hour goes by. We all have a good time. Lap dances are going. Indiglo comes up to us and he goes, listen, fellas, I want to apologize for, this so-and-so, whatever her name is. I forget her name. I want to apologize. she didn't turn up tonight. And, we were like, what does that mean? She didn't turn up tonight. He goes, she didn't give you what you guys paid for. So we were like, I don't know, no big deal. He goes, no, I'm going to fire her. She's done. We're like, you don't need to do that. We had a good time. They all leave. We pay them their money. As they're leaving, the caravan door, they all get into the caravan. The caravan door swings open, okay? They kick this girl out. The girl falls out, and the caravan takes off. Bob, we're in the middle of nowhere. We're in the middle of nowhere, and this caravan takes off, okay? And now we're stuck with one of the strippers.
Wow.
So now there's 18 guys in the middle of upstate New York in some log cabin and some stripper that just fell out of the caravan.
This sounds like a Stephen King novel.
It could have very well been a Stephen King novel.
One chick, 18 guys. This sounds like either a porno or a Stephen King novel.
It could go either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So, thank God this. My friends, I have to say, they're good guys. So we took the girl back in. We're like, I can't believe what just happened. The Indiglo, the what do you call it?
The bouncer.
I don't know. The bouncer, whatever he is. He gives the best man a call. He goes, I'm sorry, we fired her. She's not our problem. And they take off into the night. So now this is only day one of the weekend. And you have to remember now the groom's or the bride's father is coming in the next day. And now we have one of the strippers stuck at the house, which is a real sticky situation. So she ends up, for whatever reason, she got really loose with us. The girl didn't walk around with clothes on the whole weekend. The father-in-law comes. We had a stripper with us for the whole weekend. Insane. We tried to lose her. There's a casino up there.
Yeah.
And our plan was that the next night, we realized we're stuck with her. We're not gonna, she's gonna hang out with us the whole weekend. You sort of felt bad for this girl.
Yeah.
We said, all right, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the casino. We'll bring her to the casino, and maybe we'll leave her there. We'll lose her there. Now, thank God, in retrospect, this is not a good idea because they, first of all, the girl's safety. We're worried about that. Second, there's cameras everywhere in the casino. So God forbid something happens to this girl. 18 guys walk into a casino with this poor girl, and there's cameras all on us.
Right.
So,
it's no longer Indigo's problem. It's your problem.
Now it's our problem. And God forbid something happens. We don't know this girl, and we don't know if she has a drug problem. God forbid something happens to this girl. That's on us.
Well, and this is the exact type of thing where this is a plot for a Law and Order episode that's written.
Exactly. This is how you get in trouble. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
So it turns out the bride to be's father, who shows up the next day, he's a retired police officer. He's a great guy. We finally had to come clean to him that we were hoarding a stripper in the basement. So we tell him our big plan. We're like, this is our plan, sir. We're gonna lose her at the casino. Now he's a retired cop. He goes, you idiots. You can't lose her at the casino. Obviously he teaches us the old cameras and this poor girl could be in trouble. Anyway, we take her to the casino. She comes back. She was there with us for the whole weekend. My friend had to drive her back home to Manhattan on Sunday. We had a stripper the whole weekend. We had to drive the stripper home. Unbelievable. One of the greatest bachelor parties. The greatest bachelor party I've ever gone to in my life.
That actually sounds like a way better plot than The Hangover, because I actually didn't think that movie was that great.
It would be a good movie, you know. I thought about how that would be a nice script if I can write that. Or I'd definitely try to write that story.
You know, see, stories like that, those should be made into movies. And then people who say, like, you know, when they see a movie like The Hangover, or they watch an episode of Entourage or Blue Mountain State,
Right.
and they're like, oh man, that would be so sweet, or I've had nights like that, or I just wish all those people would die, because I hate all those people that think like they've ever lived a night like in the show Entourage, or they've ever had a night like Blue Mountain State. I mean, those shows are fake, but you know,
Yeah.
a story like that's a legit story. It's a funny story, and you know, see, like you don't have to be like, oh man, I wish I had the Entourage type of life. I just those people bug me.
Yeah. Well, the Entourage type of life is something that I could never live.
No, I see.
Yeah.
It would always wind up with me or one of my buddies getting a gun, and then something going wrong.
Something would happen. It just the thing about people don't realize about television shows is it looks
They're
cool. It never goes like that in real life.
No.
It never works that way. You know, you can't wrap it up in 30 minutes or an hour. You know, it never works out that good.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a television show, or like on porn, when you know they do 15 different positions in 30 minutes.
Oh God, yeah.
Sorry, we don't have that kind of recovery time, ladies.
No. There's if somebody were to shoot a porno of me, it would end porn. That would be it. I mean, people wouldn't be interested in watching other people fornicate anymore. It'd be over.
Mine would end with me saying I'm sorry, and it would end after.
There'd be a lot of apologies.
There'd be a lot of apologies, and be like, okay, do you want to go drink some more?
Yeah, or it would end up with me drinking alone in the corner. That's usually the way it ends for me.
All right, Brendan, before I let you go, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, where we can find you in the United States, all that good stuff?
Sure. I'm at Sir Brendan Ryan, and you can find me. I'm at Stand Up New York for the Character Flawed show once a month, you know, and I'll post that on Twitter.
Awesome. Brendan, well, I appreciate it. Very funny stuff tonight. Love to have you back.
All right.
We'll be right back here with Mike Falcone here on LateNightSportsRadio.com on the Bob Sullivan Show.
Thanks, Bob.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, I never know nobody like you. Now I know you're down and yeah, you keep me guessing, unconvincing, now what baby is true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle, I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Ready? 1. You will do this 4 times with the left, 4 with the right, then 8 times with both, then repeat.
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Keith Grieve is going to go over the scoreboard update desk thing.
I wish I need a breaking news little soundbite. So the Final Four is set now. Michigan State beats Louisville 76-70. Bob, what are your thoughts on Tom Izzo making it to the Final Four?
I am pissed off because, one, I don't think Michigan State is that good. And two, like Michigan State, they're just, I don't know, they're not that good. And Izzo, number two, I'm also pissed off because I'm sick and tired of hearing about Izzo. You know, it's like, you know, Tom Izzo, he's such this great coach. And yeah, he's a good coach and everything, but he has one national championship. You know, to be considered with the Krzyzewskis, you know, the Patinos, you know, you got to have more than one to your name. And he's had some talented teams. Yes, he's gotten a team that's not very talented to the Final Four here, but, you know, he's had teams like Draymond Green that haven't won. He's had talented teams that haven't won, that have choked. I don't think he's as good as Jim Calhoun. I'm not a fan of Izzo. Up yours, Izzo.
I think also you got a little fortunate here that I don't think Louisville is as good as we expect. I think Patino gets a little bit of a free ride too.
Well, who did they? I didn't really watch many of the games, but okay, who did they beat? Like, I guess they beat Virginia, which they were injured. I just don't like. I don't know. I don't think they're that good. They've lost to Butler in the national semifinal before. I just don't think he's a great coach, but Michigan State this year, they're not that good. They're just not that good. I don't know. Everybody's in love with Michigan State. I don't get it. And everybody's picking them to go to the Final Four. I wasn't on board with it. And I don't know. I'm just not on board with it.
Well,
up yours is.
When Louisville, hashtag up yours is, when Louisville shoots 36% from the floor with Terry Rozier, 6 of 23 from the floor, and also 3 turnovers. It kind of helps you there.
Actually, the biggest issue is Rick Pitino not letting Omaha native Okoye Agau stay on the team. Okoye Agau transferring to Georgetown. I'm not a fan of Okoye Agau, but he's transferring to Georgetown. Omaha native Okoye Agau going to Georgetown. That's why Louisville didn't win, because they didn't have an Omaha on their team this year. That's why. You're welcome.
It makes total sense when you say it like that.
Yeah, and I don't even think he's an Omaha. You know, he lived here for a couple of years, but
the other,
you know, I don't think for the long haul he's been here.
The other elite...
And by the way, okay, let me go into this. I don't usually rip on college players, but Okoye Agau, okay, when he was in high school here in Omaha, he went to Omaha Central. You know, he was praised like he was this god of basketball. He averaged like 10 and 10. Like, he wasn't anything special. He had all the measurables. That was it. Like, I wouldn't, if you put his team against any team, you know, his Central team against any team in the past against, you know, the Lincoln Southeast, Lincoln Southwest, whatever, preps, they get. Sorry.
All right. And Mr. Falcone is on the line now.
Mike Falcone, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh,
Mike?
Mike, are you there? Oh, I guess we lost Wake. So we'll get into the second game today. The Duke Blue Devils punching their ticket, beating Gonzaga 66-52. What's your take on Krzyzewski?
I'm a big fan of Krzyzewski. He's a hero. He knows how to use a credit card.
What is that?
And are we joined by Mike Falcone right now?
Yes, sir. What's going on, guys?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Doing good. I was, I had some little bit of Skype hiccup there, so I was like, all right, let me just start it and start back, end the call and go back. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. You just got done with, I don't know how to put it, but WrestleMania, I never got into it. It's one of those things where I was talking with a Mexican friend of mine the other day, and he was saying how he was a huge fan of WrestleMania, or wrestling and whatnot. It's one of those things where you've either been with it from day one since you've been born, or you haven't been with it at all. And I'm the latter.
I'm in the have been with it since day one. But like here's the thing though too. Like this is like with WrestleMania this year, second year in a row where I think a lot of fans thought it was going to be horrible. But it wound up being better than expected. So there's that.
Go ahead. What's the deal with the audio right now? Mike out?
Hello, you there?
No, he cut out.
Here.
Mike, you cut out during your last little diatribe there.
Oh, I was saying that this year, like last year, like everyone thought it was going to be horrible because of like some of the matches on there, and it wound up being better than expected, like much better.
Yeah, see, with WrestleMania, it's the one time a year where something that is as childish as wrestling brings the most respected people to their knees and rooting for, whether it be The Rock or I don't even know who was in it this year. Who was in it? Triple H. That's my wrestling knowledge.
Well, the main event was Brock Lesnar versus a newer guy, Roman Reigns. And they had like The Undertaker versus a newer guy, Bray Wyatt. They had Sting from WCW versus Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a lot of like a pretty good undercard too. And like they had a little segment with The Rock in there. And they brought out the Hall of Famers that they inducted the night before. But like the matches were actually really like from top to bottom. There wasn't a bad match, which I was surprised because there were some that I was convinced were going to be stinkers. And then they did the swerve ending at the very end, like they held it out to the last possible second.
A bad match? How is it a bad match? It's fake.
Well, here's the thing though, like when it's a bad match, it's kind of like. Think about it in the way that if it the way a movie's bad, like if it's not well acted, or if it just doesn't have good flow,
like Fast and Furious.
Yeah, pretty much. Like for example, it's like it's scripted, it's choreographed, but at the same time, if it's two people who don't know what they're doing, it's going to be a train wreck and it's not going to be good. Or if it's someone who's limited, it's just going to come off as boring to the fans who watch it.
With with WrestleMania, do you think the acting is far better than the acting in, say, a movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sly Stallone?
Depends on who you put there. To be honest, some of them are actually pretty good at it, and some of them are just like, all right, we can tell you're reading a scripted piece. You can tell you're reading a scripted promo that someone wrote for you, and you're not good at reading scripted promos.
Well, do you think? Well, with the the scripts and whatnot, and what they're reading, everybody talks about how great Christopher Walken's thing. I got to have more cowbell. I mean, you could tell the entire time he was on Saturday Night Live, he was just reading off the cue card. I mean, it was terrible. And everybody acts like that was such a great, skit. It was terrible because I guess that was the love of it, that he was reading off the cue card.
Well, and that's the thing. Like his delivery, it's like his delivery makes it work in any form of acting. Kind of like how if you look at someone like a Mitch Hedberg, the comedian Mitch Hedberg when he was around, his deadpan delivery made his stuff work. So the right kind of delivery will make that work. It's just that some guys just don't have that delivery.
Well, what's the best thing for wrestling? Like I haven't watched it since I was 7. Ever since my father told me that it was fake, I haven't really, paid attention to wrestling. However, what's the best plot for wrestling? Is it sex with, female, whether it's the divas or whatever? Is it a relationship? What is the best plot in your opinion for a wrestling?
I think the best plot is something that kind of gets you invested into it, no matter what kind of angle they take in the storyline. Like for example, there was a feud earlier during the summer. Two newer wrestlers, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, who were part of an original faction, a faction called the Shield. And when Seth Rollins turned on the other two members of that, then there was a feud between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins it felt personal because they were pretty much like brothers in arms at that point. So and both guys are great on the microphone and can sell the rivalry as well. So it got fans so invested into the storyline that those two main evented a pay-per-view a few months ago. It was like the best feud of the year at that point.
What do you think okay, so obviously, these guys got a lot of bravado. They're manly men that are doing these wrestling things. How great would it be if it was a guy like you and, no offense, but if there's a guy like you where two guys like you, two comic book nerds, it's like, hey, you wanked it to Wonder Woman the other night. What would the wrestling trash talk be between two nerds?
Oh, man.
Two guys
dude, you don't even know who the 12th Doctor is, bro. Like that. It's something like that. Or dude, you read 90s Teen Titans. I could feel like nerdy wrestling promos. It's like, what you gonna do when my 20 stack of 24 Marvel comics comes running wild on you? Something like that is how I would picture it. It wouldn't really be innovative, but it would work.
Well, now you're a grown man, and you've been doing the wrestling thing for a while here.
Yeah, and actually I read comics too, so that's.
I mean, as you go on, does it surprise you when you see other grown men? Is there anybody that surprises you that watches wrestling?
Hot chicks who are adults still surprises me when they're they're into wrestling. I mean, there's a lot more than there used to be, but I feel like when the whole Austin stuff was happening, a lot of young kids had older brothers who were watching wrestling, so they got into it then. But back when I was, I was probably in my teens when this was going on, so it was mostly dudes as fans. And now it's a lot more young female adults who are into wrestling, and it's what's going on here? So that still surprises me because
in hot chicks, the hot chicks that watch wrestling. Well, I don't even know. It's with watching wrestling for hot chicks.
There's there's 3 different camps of the hot chicks.
Cool.
There's the ones who are actually into it the way a lot of dudes are. They know their shit about it. Sorry if I cursed.
You're good. You're good.
They know, they're knowledgeable. They watch it religiously. Then there are the ones who are like, oh my God, John Cena. Or like or that group along with the moms and who bring the kids there to see John Cena. And then aside from that, there's ring rats, the ones who are trying to bang the wrestlers.
Yes. But from the Twitter audience, I mean, you got to know that.
Oh yeah.
There's the ring rat Twitter. Wrestling fans. I mean, they're not going to bang them, but they're going to try. They're going to definitely try to get some DNA at some point.
Some are. Oh yeah. That's why you got to make sure to just like basketball players do, make sure to throw out the condom. Keep it in a baggie.
Yeah. Yeah. With wrestling though, I think it's funny with me with women. You'll always see these tweets or these pictures, these screenshots of text messages where it's like some guy sends a text message like, "Hey, what did you think of the Miami Heat today with Chris Bosh and Carmelo Anthony beating the Lakers or something like that?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I missed the game, blah, blah, blah." Because she's trying to act cool to the guy that she's talking to, but the guy's trying to make her look like an idiot on Twitter by
but here's the thing.
Trying to walk her into a corner.
Yeah, here's the thing, though.
Go ahead.
My problem with that, though, because like in wrestling stuff and nerd stuff, too, female fans get a lot more shit from other fans than guys do. I will admit that. Their knowledge is tested more than a guy's would be. Like, if someone goes, "Oh, you're a Miami Heat fan," to a male fan, they're not going to be questioned. But if they say that to a female fan, they'll be asked about any player from before LeBron James was there.
Right. Well, I am more likely to do that to a male fan because, chicks, I just don't, I just don't really care. Because it's like, chicks are more likely to jump on what's hot at the time than guys. So you just kind of assume the worst. If it's a guy that you're friends with, I mean, you're gonna know that, like one of my buddies, he's just a LeBron James fan. He won't admit it, but he was a Cavs fan. He was a Heat fan. Now he's a Cavs fan.
He's like, I'm gonna dust off all of my old Cavs jerseys.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put these ashes back together here on Palm Sunday.
Yeah,
and,
I want to point out, how dumb do people feel when they burn someone's jersey and then a few years later that person is back with the team? Cavs fans and Jets fans, I'm talking to you.
Well, and by the way, with Giants fans, okay, I saw there was something on Twitter with some white trash guy burning an Eli Manning jersey. Are you kidding me? Like,
well, to be fair, there was
the guys
probably
won 2 Super Bowls though. Like, there's no to be fair. The guys won 2 Super Bowls for the Giants.
No. Hear me out. To be fair, their heat was probably turned off in his double wide.
Okay.
So he needed the heat. And he was like, Eli Manning jersey or my Osi Umenyiora jersey?
Have you ever... Well, yeah, and you probably... Burning a white person's jersey is probably in your best interest over, race relations.
Or the fact that he can just get one of any 200 in any sports, sporting goods store in this area of Eli Manning jerseys.
Well, and you know what's funny to me is with the people that burn jerseys, whenever you see it on TV where it's like, somebody pours, the gasoline on the jersey and then lights it on fire, those are always the people that look like they need clothes the most.
Yeah. They usually are. And they're like, crap, I got to get a new jersey. Who do I get a jersey?
I got to get a new jersey. I need a bed for my for my room. There's a lot of things that, there's never anything people with class don't burn jerseys. Not even class. People with enough clothes don't burn jerseys. I think is fair.
Yeah, actually, this reminds me too. Everyone who has heard me on here before knows I'm a 49ers fan.
Yes.
Frank Gore, when he signed with Indianapolis, posted a picture of him basically showing in a Colts hoodie, taking a tour of the hall they have of past Colts greats. And there was most of the 49ers fans were pretty cool about it, but there was one who was a complete ass about it. Talking smack to Frank. I'm like, dude, this guy gave 10 seasons of it gave his prime years to the 49ers. They weren't going to re-sign him at the amount that he, was offered from the Colts. And the fact that he didn't fail them, they failed him. They failed to win a Super Bowl with him there.
Mm-hmm. Well, with Frank Gore, yeah, I mean, I don't understand the talking smack to Frank Gore. It's not like he bailed on them. With Frank Gore, I agree with him leaving. But I would like to get a Frank Gore jersey. Go to a Philadelphia Eagles Frank Gore jersey. Go to Philadelphia and then burn that. I think that would really show him. Yeah, that's the other thing with the burning the jersey, where it's like, oh, I really showed him. It's like, okay, the guy's making $3.5 million, or in LeBron James's case, $19.9 million or something with the Heat. It's like, I'm going to show this guy by burning his jersey.
If you want to burn a jersey, how about burning jerseys of players who actually sucked while they were with the team?
Like Chris Borland?
Yeah. No, he didn't suck, though.
I know.
I know,
burn burn the jersey of the guy that's making the minimum, the league minimum. That's how you really show.
Burn the Rashawn Woods jersey. Don't burn the Chris Borland or Frank Gore jersey. Burn the Rashawn Woods jersey.
I can't. Rashawn Woods. That was a surprising one. He was a good receiver with Oklahoma State. I can't believe he didn't. I mean, I guess he was a little short. He should have panned out in the NFL.
Well, he was 6'2", so it's not like he was short. It's just he sucked.
He was like. I mean, he was mediocre height. I mean, 6'2" is like. I mean, if you're not fast and you're not tall, you're kind of screwed. I kind of feel.
And here's the thing, too. You look at what annoys me about that draft. I mean, granted, because of this, they ended up getting Frank Gore. But I look at the people they passed on to take Rashawn Woods. And it's like, all right, a lot of these guys were major contributors for their teams. Literally, Bob Sanders, Chris Snead, Dansby.
Well, Bob Sanders would not have made it through a season. I mean, he would not have made it to the Jim Harbaugh era.
You know what, though? You never know. You say that now, but remember, he played his career with the Colts in a dome with turf.
It's true. That is true. Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of... But, I mean, he probably would have had more brain injuries under Singletary.
Well, that's true. Got me there.
All righty. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back here with comedian Mike Falcone here on the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Need me, I should leave you.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There he goes again. It's the Bob Sullivan Show.
I was walking down the street when out the corner of my eye I saw a pretty little thing approaching me. She said, I never seen a man who looks so all alone. Could you use a little company?
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I am joined again in hour number 2 by comedian Mike Falcone, who was late because of WrestleMania. You know, he's got a lot of nerd tendencies. Mike, as far as, you know, you're a 49ers fan. You know, let's get in. Is it a curse of Jim Harbaugh, you know, going back to Michigan? What is the deal? You know, you got Borland retiring, Willis retiring, you got Gore leaving. Gore, I don't think is that big of a deal. Willis, I don't think is that big of a deal. But you know, because they're in the 30s. Willis is kind of a sort of big deal.
Yeah.
But what is your take on Tomasulo or whatever his name is taking over and Harbaugh?
The thing with that is Tom Sula could be a coach that's going to wind up being a good motivator. Like to the tune that Harbaugh was, but just like he's the kind of motivator that will kind of, he won't wear thin on a team after 4 years. I think there was a lot of fatigue with Harbaugh too. Like
I also feel like Tomasulo could be like that Callahan guy, Bill Callahan type of guy.
That's true, but at the same time, like hopefully he doesn't do the same mistake that Singletary did and not hire competent coaches around him. So, I mean, there's that too. I mean, I'm looking at and the thing with the people who left, like Frank Gore, he was older, so that was going to happen. Mike Iupati, they weren't going to pay him 5 years, $40 million. That they don't value. Like the way they build their offensive line is they secure the tackles, and then the interior they'll just draft replacements. Whenever they need them. Scuda, I was surprised at because Jacksonville signed him for $20 million at 5 years. He's not worth almost $5 million a year. He's a backup. Culliver got a lot of money. Cox got more money than he should have. So that kind of stuff happens. You've got to make those decisions as a GM in free agency. You know, like that. Like a lot of those departures. Willis retiring was a semi-surprise, but as long as Bowman bounces back, they'll be fine because Will Hoyt's a good linebacker, and they'll probably draft a replacement. They're apparently also talking to Lance Briggs too.
But Lance Briggs, I don't feel like he's that great of a leader. Yeah,
but Bowman will be.
Yeah, but I mean, Willis is kind of like that. I don't know. You know that he's got an X factor. You know, Bowman, I think he's a great linebacker, but Willis, I feel like he's kind of got that Ray Lewis minus the murdering aspect to him, where he's got that kind of X factor. Is that fair?
Fair enough. Well, Bowman, Bowman can be intimidating too. I remember that game against Carolina in the playoffs not this past season, but the one before, where he did this Cam Newton Superman pose, but then kind of crushed it. Like people were calling it the Doomsday Taunt.
Well,
stuff like that's awesome. I can't wait for Bowman to be back. But some of the decisions you've got to make as a GM are tough, and also there's the possibility of Justin Smith retiring as well.
Well, and plus the possibility of Alden Smith threatening to
being an idiot,
making a terroristic threat. Terroristic threats post 9/11, bad idea.
Here's the thing, though. Alden Smith, he actually did something weirdly, he bet on himself pretty much. by restructuring the salary he's making, be it from the franchise tag, to where, like, it made so that like only like half of it was, given to him up front. The rest of it, he's got to be with the team throughout from now till the end of the season for him to actually get the full $9.5 million. So,
and then what was it last? What was it last year where he also had to pay the team? Essentially to play.
Yeah, because he was such an idiot and he got suspended for so long that he didn't play enough games to be able to keep the bonus.
I would there's always those Alden Smith. I mean, the terroristic threats post 9/11. And it's pretty ballsy of a player. I know sometimes they don't have the choice. Well, a lot of the time they don't have the choice, but to sign the sign the franchise tag, that takes a lot of balls to do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, no, I don't think it was the franchise tag, actually. They didn't tag anybody, but they picked up his option, is what I meant. Because it was the first.
You look at it like, if you're, I guess you make the top 5 salaries divided by 5 or whatever it is divided by 2.
Well, no.
What is it?
It wasn't the tag. He did not get the tag because they didn't use the franchise tag this year. But the first time, I believe it's like the top 5 of your position is what the franchise tag is. But he was a first round pick when he was drafted, so he had that like a $9.5 million option as his like a 5th year option on there that the team could pick up. So they were like, we're going to show faith in you by picking up your option. Don't make us regret it. And then he agreed to restructuring the terms of the contract so that it would give them cap savings, but also he would have to earn it.
Well, what do you think as far as with like the franchise tag and with the franchise tag, would you, if you were an NFL player, say you're smart with your money and you're an NFL player, and you have the chance to take a franchise tag, which if you're a receiver, that's like 50, it could be like 10 million, 9 million. Quarterback, that's like 15 million or whatever. I would definitely take that and then just put it all in the bank because that's a lot of money. It's still a lot of money 1 year, and then you can just be like, okay, nobody wants to sign me. I'll see you later. But
here's the thing, though. They're not going to say that because
well, and if you're making that kind of money, you're going to have to make it rain at the strip club with your teammates.
That, and remember, contracts aren't guaranteed.
That's true.
They're not fully guaranteed. Even franchise tags aren't. But not only that, I think the players who get tagged don't like getting tagged because they want to be able to sign a long-term deal the earliest they can and make the most money they can on that deal. So they don't want to. For example, take that franchise tag, maybe make that good of money, but at the same time, if they tear their ACL that season, then when they're free agents again, they're not going to make as much money.
Obviously, the NFL is the worst professional sports league to, either have a season-ending injury or whatever.
Oh, yeah, it's cutthroat. Totally cutthroat.
In a contract year. Well, actually, in any year. But, baseball, basketball, NHL, what do you think the worst sport is to have a season-ending injury in a contract year is?
Definitely the NFL, because like I said,
other than that,
I'm not going to say baseball because it's very, very hard to get out of a baseball contract. Same with hockey, actually. So I think the next one, next worst, is going to be probably basketball because they've got the amnesty clause.
No. I'm saying in a contract year, like when you're when you're 1 year away from. Well, like Wesley Matthews, he just blew out his Achilles.
All right, hockey then. Hockey,
hockey would be the worst.
Yeah, because like contracts in baseball and basketball are ridiculous still. Like, there are role players getting paid the same as starters in the NBA. That makes no. But then again, the NBA is weird because like they just throw away first round picks at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, see, this is my solution for the NBA. They have they want to do away with the one and done. They want to just do high school or you go to college. This is my solution for the NBA. Okay, you do 4 rounds of the NBA draft. I know that's a lot. Stick with me, but okay. So you get 4 rounds of the NBA draft, and unless you're a lottery pick, you can either go back to college, you can go to college, or you can come out. And it's kind of like baseball, where in baseball, if you're a high school player and you get drafted, you can go to college, you can sign the contract. If you're, a junior in college, you can go back for your senior year. You can go pro, whatever you want. I think the NBA should make 4 rounds. All these NBA teams, unless you're a lottery pick, the only time you have no say on whether you go back is whether you're a lottery pick or not. I think that's pretty.
It could be solved. I don't think they would ever do that.
I don't think they would either, but I think that's the best system because at least with a lottery pick, you're guaranteed, pretty big money. And everybody else, after the lottery is kind of hit and miss what you're going to make.
Well,
and whether you're going to make the team or not.
Here's the other thing too, though. Like basketball and football are more plug and play with the rookies. Like it's easier. Yeah, exactly. But we're getting there. But it's much like it's easier to just like plug and play a rookie. Like whereas with baseball, like a lot of them are they need time to develop in the minors. And especially because there's like 1,800 rounds in a baseball draft.
Well, and plus, but with baseball, there's like Mike Piazza was drafted in the 61st round or something. Yeah. With the NBA, if you had 4 rounds, it would make more room for players where they could be like, okay, if a player decides to come out, he's not ready. And I'm not talking about a player like Jason Collins. I'm talking about a player, out of college.
Yeah, well, that's why they've got the D League.
Yeah, D League. Just put them in the D League. Have every team buy a D League team, buy a D League franchise. Bring one to Omaha for God's sakes.
But here's the thing, though. Technically, the NBA is kind of doing what you're doing. They only do 2 rounds, but the guys who aren't drafted can go to the D League as opposed to being 3rd and 4th round picks and sent to the D League.
Yeah, but the D League is so bad right now. Like, you're better off going to Europe than going to the D League. Like,
well,
I've talked to players from that play in Europe or play not in EuroLeague that have played in lesser than the EuroLeague, and they're like, yeah, and they've played in the D League as well, and they're like, yeah, this is way better than, this is way more competitive than the D League because the best players don't all go to the D League. But if you had the 4 rounds, it wouldn't necessarily make the D League deeper, but it would make the option better. I think it would make better options as far as what you can do.
Well, here's the thing, though, too. The D League doesn't have, Russian billionaires running the team,
No.
Well, granted, so do the Nets, but they can still get crazy, contracts.
Well, yeah, D League, you're getting $15 and nachos at the concession stand after the game. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Is
hey buddy,
the D League style of living.
Yeah, they're like, hey buddy, you did pretty well. So how about a free brownie from the concession stand? It's stale, but whatevsies.
What do you think as far as the concession stand nachos at a sporting event or at really any arena? That is the worst cheese on the face of the earth.
Oh,
is there anything worse than that cheese?
Probably the powdered cheese that comes with macaroni and cheese.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not really cheese. But here's the thing, though. The cheese that they have at those arenas isn't so horrible.
It is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, like here's the thing though, it gets worse though as time goes on.
Yeah, when you're a kid. Okay, this is how it goes. Okay, so when you're a kid and you see, nachos $3.50, and like a pop is like $1.50, $1.30, whatever. Everything's less expensive. Nachos is the most expensive thing on the menu at a sporting event.
Well, no, here's what I mean though. If you get them later in the day when the cheese is starting to dry up a little bit,
okay,
and that. It's kind of like going to the buffet, like at the weird times when they're not cooking more food, like when it's been sitting there for a while.
Oh, is there anything more disconcerting? Okay, so I go to this buffet, Valentino's. It's pretty much just in Nebraska. I don't know. They might have one in South Dakota, whatever. Not a big deal where it's at. But the most disconcerting thing when you go to a buffet is when you see them pouring like cream or milk into the nacho cheese or the spinach dip to kind of revive it. When they're trying to revive items on the buffet, you're like, oh my God, I'm still eating that? That's the worst.
It really is. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I kind of feel like you're kind of a hypochondriac, so I feel like me even bringing up that topic is kind of making you sick.
Yeah, no, like I don't know. I've had weird experiences with eating the food that I shouldn't have because I've been sitting down there for too long. Like, you never want to, but it winds up happening. But you never want to. Like sometimes you're hungry, and sometimes you're hungry, and you've already paid the Chinese food buffet people $7.99. So you're like, hell with it. I might as well because
is New Jersey, New York area? Are they big buffet type areas?
New York, Jersey. I mean, there's some buffets that do well, but we're mostly a diner state.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like we're known more for our diners than our buffets. Like there are some buffets that do well, but they're few and far between. The favorite in Jersey as far as buffets go are Chinese buffets. Like those are the big ones. But as far as like non-Chinese buffets, like Golden Corral usually does pretty well up here. CC's.
CC's got kicked out of Omaha. That was disappointing.
Really? Why did they get kicked out? Because they're like, hey, maybe for fitness reasons we should.
They opened like 8 locations and then they all closed at once, pretty much. Like they expanded too quickly was their problem.
There were too many that were too close to each other.
Yes, it was a devastating combination. It was they got too eager, is what happened.
You can't flood the market. You can't. Otherwise, no one will know which one to go to. And then there might be one that's the best one, and then the other 7 don't do business at all.
Well, and you know what's weird with CC's is, it should be, it was popular in all markets of, well, I guess it wasn't because it's closed, but the one that survived the longest was the one in West Omaha, which is the whitest part of town, which you would think, it wouldn't survive that long.
Well, here's the thing you're forgetting.
Part of town because it's cheap. You would expect it to be in the not so classy part of town surviving.
Yeah. You know what, though? Never underestimate younger white kids who are like suburban or Okay. Never underestimate them being like, "Hey, bro, let's go to CC's, bro." Like just for fun, just for the hell of it.
Let's go get the monkey bread over at CC, the cinnamon bread at CC's. Let's get
the cinnamon pizza at CC's because like the stupid things we all did when we were in our early 20s. Like decide that 3 a.m. is a perfectly fine time to go to White Castle.
See, I've never experienced that because I don't have a White Castle in my town.
Well, stoners and college kids go there late at night.
Yeah.
Like it's like their option of choice at that point. But you don't want to. Here's the trick with a place like a White Castle: you don't want to go there too much, otherwise you'll hate it. Like it's good as long as you're only going there once every few months at the most frequent.
See, and I kind of feel like that's the same thing with Steak and Shake because I've been to White Castle, and Steak and Shake and White Castle, they're not in Omaha, so whenever, or Jack in the Box for that matter, whenever I am in like St. Louis or Chicago and I see a White Castle or Jack in the Box, I get excited and I buy pretty much everything on the menu, and it just gets out of control.
It's like I don't go to Sonic that often because some of the stuff is so cheap that I'm like, oh my god, I want this in my life right now.
And I always wonder, when I'm like, man, $1.49 for a burrito at Taco Bell. That sounds like a little bit of an investment. What are burritos from Taco Bell? What's the cheapest burrito on the Taco Bell menu in New York or New Jersey?
Well, about the same. Here's the thing you got to remember though. Like if you go to a store and buy a microwavable burrito,
yes,
you're paying more than the $1.49. I mean, if you get the items to make the burritos, then probably not as expensive, but still, you're still paying something.
Exactly.
Like even if you fraction how much those ingredients you use price wise, it's still going to factor in there.
Well, have you ever had a gas station burrito that didn't scar the top of your mouth? Because I've always had, every time I put it in, I'm either drunk or something's going wrong. I put it on for like 5 minutes, and the roof of my mouth is either bleeding or blistered by the next morning. So it's not like, at least with Taco Bell, I know that I'm getting something that's reasonable temperature.
Here's one. Have you ever had a gas station burrito that didn't make just your insides and butthole explode? Because I have every time. That's why I don't have them anymore.
Yeah, I try to stay away from gas station burritos. I just go Taco Bell because it's simple. I don't have to walk in. Very little walking is my best medicine.
Yeah. Like, listen, all right, maybe gas station burritos are good if you don't want to buy Pepto-Bismol. Or no, if you don't want to buy a laxative and you've got to take you've got to have an evacuation of your colon. then yes, gas station burritos are the best spending choice. But otherwise, there's better options out there. Like, for example, Qdoba or La Salsa or
those aren't always open.
Okay.
Yeah. So Qdoba, I agree. Qdoba is a great idea. Chipotle, whatever. But those need to be open longer. They're only open till like 10, my local time.
Also true. Then there's diners that serve good quesadillas, like One by Me, that I go to after comedy shows. That serves like a chicken barbecue Lone Star quesadilla. It's fantastic. So there's places like that too. You've got to remember too. There's diners. Well, here there's diners. Yeah, the stuff that stays open like 24/7. It's really just all crappy like fast food places.
It's like Denny's.
Well, yeah, Denny's too.
Denny's. Denny's. I've noticed the last time I went to Denny's, it smelled like the entire restaurant smelled like a restroom.
It smelled like a restroom or homeless people on fire.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best way to say what Denny's is at times.
Actually, you know what it smells like? It smells like a bunch of homeless people just farted.
Yeah, after having salmon. Like, that is Denny's. We do not endorse Denny's in this show.
No,
but, I don't know. It's a whole weird thing though. Like, just who gets the like? Does anybody really buy the gas station burritos? Like all right,
yeah, I do.
No, I mean on the regular. Like, does anybody regularly eat them? And I'm
Okay.
not. All right, not including truck drivers. Not including truck drivers.
Okay, well, let's get that. Let's get down to what a gas station burrito entails. Okay, I'm not talking about the ones that are sitting under the heat lamp. The heat lamp. I'm talking about the ones that you get out of the freezer, like that El Paso or whatever, the extra, and you put it in the microwave. That's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. That scalds your mouth. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I figured you were talking about, though.
Okay, so you're anti that as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm anti you then, because those burritos actually are not terrible. I'm talking about the ones that are terrible are the ones that are underneath the heat lamp for 9 hours out of the day.
I'm not saying the heat lamp ones aren't terrible either, because they're atrocious. But the thing with the microwave burritos is you're microwaving them. Nothing tastes as good as microwaved as it does actually cooked.
Okay, and then when you're drunk, you put it into the microwave for 5 times as long as you're supposed to. That's my issue. That's when I have problems, is when I put it in the microwave myself.
Here's the thing: you got to remember too. I've become spoiled when it comes to actually having burritos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I go to the places like Qdoba or La Salsa or Chipotle. So I'm very spoiled when it comes to my Mexican food.
See, I've been to New York a couple of times, but I always wonder. It's always funny to me. Like in Omaha, there's pretty much a gas station on every corner but when you go downtown, there's not. New York just seems like a place where there would be. Where would there be room for gas stations? New Jersey is kind of the same way, where I'd be like, where's the room for gas station? And number two, I don't think you guys have appreciation for gas station burritos out there.
No, well, because like I said, we've got better options out there, and like our late night food eating is going to usually consist of White Castle or diners, so we don't need those places to stay open.
Don't you guys have like 24-hour pizza by the slice out there?
New York does. Or no, well, actually, not 24-hour, but the city, what New York City has now, I don't know how late they're open, but they've got like the $1 slice places all over the place. They're not as good as like actual decent New York pizza, but they're still like when you're at like after Comic-Con, when you spent most of your money and you want something filling and you're like, I've got $3, get 2 slices and then use $1 for water.
Yeah, well, that's another highway robbery is $1 for water.
Oh yeah, but
But see, that's the one thing. See, I went on a cruise when I was like 12. I don't think I fully appreciated the frills of going on a cruise, except for the 24-hour pizza by the slice buffet they had.
And again, pizza's another thing. Like, another thing you gotta remember, like I said, the area that I am, you get very spoiled when it comes to food. Like your expectations when you go out places are exceptionally high. So, like, for example, people when you go to the West Coast and you're from this area, you're not gonna like bagels as much.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna like coffee as much. You're not gonna like Chinese food as much. You're not gonna like the food as much out there. Like there are people like pizza places over there. There are some that export water from New York to make the dough that way.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. It's craziness.
Well,
and by the way, I'm still trying to figure out a way to fit a porn conversation in here so we can not end that streak.
Okay, well, yeah, we didn't talk about masturbating or porn on this.
Yeah,
we you know what happened? We were talking about so much about wrestling and all that crap. We blew right through our break. But I think we got like 3 or 4 minutes left. Let's
Nine-
talk about porn really quick.
90 seconds.
90
90
seconds.
seconds. Okay, so really quick, is there any up-and-coming stars in porn that we need to talk about?
Well, oh man, what's her name? There's one that I like. There's one that
Belle
I
Knox. See, okay, let me just solve it for you. Belle Knox. She should have been in Celebrity Row for the Duke Gonzaga game tonight. Am I right?
Oh yeah, that's right. She isn't she like the Duke one that was.
She got outed by that one guy.
Yeah, who does that? I want to point out, like who does that to somebody? Let her pay her tuition however she wants to.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
She
Mia Khalifa.
also, yeah. I'm a big fan of hers, but also I tweeted this out a week or two ago. Okay, never mind. Okay, Mike, tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter and all the internet, and when your next show is.
At Hipster Punchy on Twitter. My show Brains to Radio and Brains to Wrestling, the offshoot, are on brains2radio.com. I will be performing at Tierney's Tavern in Montclair, New Jersey, April 26th. So go there. Say if you're in that area, go there. Say you're there to see Mike Falcone, so I can get some pay.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mike Falcone, Brendan Ryan. Go check out their shows. Go check them out on Twitter. It's Sir Brendan Ryan and Hipster Punchy.